There we go.
This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reavers.
That's right. It's time for the Weekly Scramble podcast. My name is Chris Reavers. With me, as always, is Mike Fratelloni. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, Reavers?
I'm doing great. Here's a hidden secret.
Sure.
And I think I've shared this with you before. I've always enjoyed working this week, and I'll tell you why. Mm-hmm. There's no traffic. Well, there's less traffic. So
yes.
for someone like me that, as Joe likes to point out, lives in Iowa, I enjoy that. But there's also nobody here.
Sure.
You get away with way more at work than you do on other. Well, because literally everybody is on vacation.
Is the cafeteria open?
Yes.
Oh, so you can go in there and just get, that's like, it's 2-for-1 burger day.
Yeah, right.
Because we're not selling these.
Well, in fact, I even had to ask Tom, my guy Tom that works down in the cafeteria, I'm like, are you guys open all week? He's like, we're just closed on Friday. I go, score!
Wow.
So anyway, but I've always enjoyed working this week. And of course, Joe being out, Joe routinely takes the week of the 4th of July off. But it's just weird. It's almost like a different vibe when this Monday comes around. Because I thought, man, I'm getting to work in no time. This is great.
Second worst week in radio.
That's right. That is always this one and Christmas.
After Christmas to the New Year.
Yep.
Horrible week in radio. You get a bunch of scabs coming in, right? Who did GL Hauser?
Tom Hauser.
He's not a scab, but he's coming in. He's not.
But he ain't Joe.
He's no Joe.
And he's flat out said that on the show today.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's great. I have no problem with his performance. He's just not Joe Souchere.
Right.
Right?
And who is?
But you know what we are? We're doing it.
That's right. We're
here.
We are here.
We're going to have a show Tuesday. We're going to have a show Thursday.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty good. We're good people.
Yes.
You should like us.
And you should review us.
You know, it's funny that you say that, Reavers. We had some housekeeping in the last show, right? And we said, hey, do us a favor. We have a Weekly Scramble podcast. Our podcast is alone its own feed, right? Many people who listen to GL listen to us because we're in the GL podcast, which is fantastic. Then we get tens of thousands of listeners, right?
Yep.
But we also need to validate the Weekly Scramble feed by itself if you're listening. And we asked people to go ahead and review us. And like 20 people did. They went and reviewed us.
Oh, that's great.
It was very cool. We need like 400 more, right? To really validate us. So when we ask somebody to come on our show, we could say, hey, look at how many thousands of reviews we have, not millions, thousands of reviews or hundreds of reviews. But someone wrote a review about the Weekly Scramble, Reavers.
Okay.
It is a little long. I have to read this to you because at the end of this, I need you to help me to find out who this man or woman is.
Oh, so they went unidentified.
Well, when you review something, you can just write any name there. And this person used the name KSTP Regular Listener.
Okay.
Okay. And let me start it out. Again, bear with me, but it's so good. He said, listen, I tuned into the Weekly Scramble expecting spicy takes on news, maybe some witty banter and a dash of chaos. What I got? A full-on foot fetish festival hosted by the most unapologetic, toe-obsessed crew on air. I'm talking hosts who derail a perfectly good segment about politics to wax poetic about the arch supports, pedicures, and God help me, the aesthetic elegance of a well-shaped pinky toe. One episode, they spent 10 minutes debating the best socks for toe freedom. 10 minutes! I didn't even know toe freedom was a thing, but now I'm questioning my own socks. It's weird, okay? Like, really weird. I'm pretty sure one host has a secret Pinterest board called The Rich or The Feet of the Rich and Famous. Another dropped a casual, I'd rather lick a foot than eat kale, mid-show, and nobody batted an eye. At this point, I'm convinced that their studio smells like lavender foot cream and regret, yet somehow I'm hooked. The host's chemistry is electric. Foot fetish aside, they're hilarious, quick-witted, and genuinely passionate about breaking down this week's headlines. Their tangents, even the ones about calluses, are so absurdly charming that I end up laughing harder than I should. The show's format is a glorious mess, hopping from global events to pop culture with the grace of a barefoot sprinter on hot pavement. They'll roast a politician's bad tweet, then pivot to a ranking celebrity's feet. Yes, they happened. Yes, that happened. And Brad Pitt's toes got a 7 out of 10. It's unhinged, but it works. I've learned more about geopolitics and plantar fasciitis than I ever wanted, and I'm weirdly okay with that. So yeah, the Weekly Scramble is a 5-star fever dream. It's like a new podcast got drunk, and decided to moonlight as a podiatry blog. The host's foot obsession is bizarre, but their charm and humor make it impossible to unsubscribe. I'll keep listening. Just don't ask me to join the Toe Appreciation Club. I'm not there yet. Bravo. Bravo.
Wow.
I don't know who wrote that. I did not do it justice reading it because, like I told you, I can barely read. But what a great compliment to our show.
I would like to say to that particular listener, you put more effort into that summary and that review for our show than Rookie has in the entire time that he's worked in the Garage Logic podcast.
I mean, what a great writer this person is. I'm hoping that they're a frat pack member. I'm hoping that they hear this, and I'm hoping that they somehow prove to us this is them, because I love this person.
That
and,
was spectacular.
It just shows, Reavers, we made like 2 jokes about opening an OnlyFans foot fetish page.
Right.
Like just a couple of jokes.
Sure.
And now we are foot fetishes for life.
That's our
right?
thing. Yeah,
I
apparently.
guess it is. And on the frat pack, you're getting a bunch of foot pics. And I think they think it's me. We deep down know that it's you. You get to pick our topics, right?
Sure, right.
But hey,
Wow.
thank you for the review.
That is so great.
Please keep them coming. We had like 80 reviews. Now we have over 100. If we can just push them to like 500, there's 10,000 people listening to us.
Right.
Pop on there, hit 5 stars, write a review. If you do that, that really matters to us. And if you follow us on our own feed, right, the Weekly Scramble feed, you'll get it updated right off the bat. We really appreciate you. We love you. I'm going to just say it. We don't necessarily love your feet. That's rumors and innuendo. Right. Well, I might love your feet. I don't know. Who knows?
It depends. Prove it to him.
Yes,
Show it to him.
prove
yeah, right.
me. No, stop posting foot pics.
Okay, let's switch gears here because you brought up something that I did not know was happening, but I want to expand upon it further. But apparently at Wimbledon, they are now using AI instead of the regular judging for in and out.
For the first time in 148 years, AI finally stole a job that we know about, right? They're switching the 3 line judges on each side of the court. So 6 people lost their jobs for all of the events at Wimbledon. They're converting to a system called Hawkeye. And it's an AI system. They use it in other tournaments, right? But the pageantry of the 148-year pageantry of Wimbledon, where you have everyone wearing their whites and the line judges are always fancy, and it's a skill. Not many people become line judges. You really have to become. You're either a skilled tennis player or you really have to work to do this. And they're taking that position away this year. Wimbledon started on Monday. They're taking that position away, and now it's just some AI. By the way, AI will not make a mistake. FYI, they're not going to make a mistake.
And you can't argue with AI.
No, AI is right.
Right.
But something's wrong when you take away the pageantry of Wimbledon and you take away those people. It even, if you're watching it, it looks different because there's not as many people behind the player now.
Sure. Well, this is going to sound like I'm anti-technology to help improve sports, which I'm not at all. In fact, I'm just worried that, here's where I'm trying to go with this. I didn't think I was going to go here, but I had to ump a couple of baseball games over the weekend because I don't know if you know this, but there's just a massive shortage right now of umpires and referees and things like that. Mostly because most people just don't want to deal with the BS anymore.
I get it.
They don't want to. And honestly, I knew my situation was going to be very low level. It wasn't going to be very intense. So that part I was not worried about at all. But I completely understand why most people don't want to do these jobs. So if it starts to trickle down, right? Because this has been a big sticking point with Major League Baseball. They've already started to implement robot umpires in the lower levels of minor league baseball just to work out the bugs.
Sure.
And it will. I mean, it's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when it's going to be implemented on the professional or at the big league level. It's just going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
Baseball is set up for that, right? It's a defined strike zone. The computer can do baseball. I mean, somewhat,
yes,
right?
Yes.
It's other sports that are much harder, but with the last little bit on Wimbledon here is that no more player challenges, right? You can't challenge AI. You can't even do it because they are like, why bother? AI's right. And baseball, we can look at the bases. Cameras can tell who got to the base first. Cameras can tell if the ball was in the person's glove. I mean, it can do it. What I think the sport that really doesn't blend well to AI refereeing and umpiring is Major League Basketball, like national basketball, and the NBA, right? Because guys like Beasley, won't be able to gamble on his sport.
Well, before we switch to Malik Beasley, which is a perfect segue. But I guess the part that I really want to put my hand up and say, let's slow down here a bit, is because I'm going to guess you didn't watch much of the NBA Finals.
I watched the final game of the NBA Finals. Yeah.
But the thing that is so frustrating and irritating now about basketball, and my boys and I watched almost every second of the Timberwolves playoff run, right? It was kind of our thing. And the problem is now we've got to stop play every bleeping 10 seconds to look at something. And the flow of the game gets disrupted. And to me, that's not appealing to me.
Sure.
I don't enjoy that. The same thing with baseball now, where we have replays because we got to get it right. Yep. We got to get the call right. Yeah. Well, okay, the flow of the game is completely compromised now because we've got to go to the eye in the sky. I don't know. I've never really been bothered with the human element of the game. Now, are there times in the playoffs, like when the Twins go to Yankee Stadium, and you can tell that the calls
shafted.
Yeah, of course. But I think that's just part of it. That's part of why we watch sports. And the problem is, because of things like gambling, which we're about to get to, has become so ingrained in the fabric now of sports that this is just going to happen.
You kind of have to do it, right?
Because there's so much money on the line now.
At the same point, AI can be more accurate. Doesn't have to be. You can program AI to do anything. You can say, hey, AI, give the Twins a 4% leeway. That's true. Right?
Yep, that's true.
How do we know that doesn't happen? Right? How do we know that that's not going to be it? Especially when gambling is so intertwined, right? That AI is, someone's going to mess with the algorithm to have an advantage some way, and someone's going to figure that out, right?
Funny you bring that up.
Let's do it.
The timing could not be worse for former Minnesota Timberwolf Malik Beasley.
What did Malik do?
Well, Michael, the sharpshooting wing is currently under investigation by the U.S. District Attorney's Office on allegations tied to gambling on NBA games and prop bets. ESPN's Shams Charania, I always forget how to pronounce Shams' last name, but everyone knows who Shams is. Shams reported Sunday he's the new Woj for ESPN. Around January of 2024, when the 28-year-old was with the Milwaukee Bucks, at least one prominent U.S. sportsbook detected unusual heavy betting interest on Beasley's statistics.
Oh, really? So he's not only just betting on the game, he's betting on himself.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear.
Allegedly,
okay.
Beasley's attorney, Steve Haney, stressed that the investigation is ongoing and no charges have been filed. An investigation is not a crime, he said. Malik is afforded the same right of the presumption of innocence as anyone else under the U.S. Constitution, and as of now, he has not been charged with anything.
Okay.
Beasley and the Detroit Pistons were in talks on a 3-year, $50 million contract that could have made him as much as $100 million to keep him in Detroit. But, funny, contract discussions have been paused.
Did they pass? I mean, they just paused it to see what's happening.
The NBA free agency starts today, actually. Okay. So you can re-sign your own players, like the Timberwolves re-signed a couple of guys over the weekend.
Yeah, for Naz Reid for $125 million or something.
And Randall got $100. But in order for you to sign a free agent, I believe it starts
Monday.
Starts Monday. Yeah, starts Monday. Sorry.
Yesterday. Yeah.
We are cooperating with the federal prosecutor's investigation, NBA spokesman Mike Bass told ESPN. Former Raptors forward Jante Porter was banned by the NBA for life last year after he was found to have manipulated his participation in a game to influence the outcome of a bet. Additionally, the NBA has investigated Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier due to gambling allegations earlier this year, but the veteran guard has yet to be charged of any wrongdoing. The Beasley report comes just a day before the NBA's free agencies that started on Monday. He is now set to become an unrestricted free agent with the Pistons. Okay, here's my point of bringing this up. What a freaking moron! And again, I mentioned this. I know somebody that used to play professionally, and I talked to this person about the gambling aspect. We were just chewing the you know what, and he said there's a completely detailed part that you have to sign. Like it's not that these guys don't know.
Sure,
it's clear as day. Yeah. Every one of these teams has the, hey, welcome to the team. Spring training is going to start.
Yeah.
Here's the list of the rules and the regulations. Like, these guys all know.
Well, of course they do. Reavers, of course they know they shouldn't be betting on themselves. I kind of understand betting on myself in 1961 when you were making $39 a game and you had to travel to the next town in your beat up truck, right? But these guys, Beasley might have just given away $100 million. My question is, does it state how many dollars that bet was worth?
I'm going to guess, since it caught the attention of a sports book, like, who's betting prop bets on Malik Beasley? Oh, what if it's Malik Beasley?
But how many dollars could it have been for?
I don't know, because there was also a clip, and I retweeted it from my Twitter account, but it was when Malik was with the Timberwolves. And it shows on here, the headline says, Malik Beasley going coast to coast with 5 seconds left to cut the lead from 9 to 7. The spread was 8.5 points. So he's like,
let's go. Yeah.
And he's running down the court. And everyone's like, what is he doing? Like,
why is he doing this?
But it was
he's not even being guarded, probably.
No, and it's just like, you idiot. Like, don't. I would get, okay, hey, tell your girlfriend, wife, friend, whatever, hey, I'd put $20 down because I think I'm going to have a good game tonight, or I'm not feeling well,
but if
or
they're
whatever.
prop bets, aren't those what color shoes is Malik going to wear tonight?
Well, I would guess it's statistic related.
But it's prop bets.
That's true. Yeah, so it could be anything.
It could be who sings the national anthem, right? But is that the definition? What's the definition of a prop bet?
I don't know.
Let me look that up as you talk.
But that's interesting that you say that, because if it was something like, even if it was so specific to something that he would do individually, then that would cause an even bigger spotlight on you. And I mean, what a freaking moron. And the fact that this continues to happen proves my point from earlier that there's just too much of this. I mean, you can't watch an NFL game now without being inundated with advertisements for gambling.
Sure. The prop bets, I was wrong, right? It can be based on not the overall score of the game, but players inside the game. For example, will LeBron James score over or under 32 points?
Gotcha.
So Beasley had total control, right? If his average is 16 points, am I over or under? And then he says, I'm going to put $2 million on Beasley to score under 16. I mean, what would you... The only thing you think it would be, since it's a 50-50 bet, right? It's over under. It's probably close to a 50-50 bet. I don't know how to do it. So you could only double your money, right? So how much money are you putting down that you think no one's going to notice? It seems impossible someone would be so stupid. Congratulations for losing $100 million, moron.
You idiot. Let's talk about our friends at We Are Nuts and wearenutsmn.com. You know, it's hard for me to pick one because, the family's been so great about their generosity with it. I want you to sample this stuff because I want you to be able to talk about it. I got to tell you, I was starting to get pretty addicted to the maple bourbon toffee almonds. Yep. Do you know what else I had these last couple of days?
Popcorn?
The popcorn's, no, I don't ever get popcorn because my kids eat it.
Sure.
But I know it's great.
Because they love it.
But I got to tell you, the cinnamon toasted toffee peanuts, have you had those yet?
I have, yep.
Those are incredible. They are so good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, duh.
They're really good. They make really good stuff.
Oh, and I'm supposed to ask you, because I got an email from a listener, which Frattallone's end cap. But I said, just any Frattallone's is going to have their product.
So the head nut, right, came out to our stores. Let me tell you a little bit about We Are Nuts.
Yes.
Okay. The guy who started the company traveled to every single one of our stores, set up the end cap, took a picture with every single staff member that was there.
No way.
How cool is that?
That's
Sent me all the pictures.
So cool.
It was really, really cool, right? So all the stores have end caps up, right? Except our little service center in St. Paul, right? All the rest of the stores have full end caps up. Have you seen the pictures on Frat Pack?
That's so cool.
Yeah. So the salesman at We Are Nuts, Jeff, right? Yep. Super guy, and we're becoming kind of close buddies. I said, hey, are you on Facebook? Trying to bring him into the Frat Pack, right?
Sure.
Because people are posting so many, like, I'm out at the Fratelloni store, I'm seeing the things they're going to do it, and he can't see any of that. I'm like, dude, people are excited about these We Are Nuts, but he can't see it. He's not even on Facebook. I'm like, Jeff, come on, it's social media. You got to do it. So he's trying to sucker someone else on the staff to join the Frat Pack so they can see it. It is really, really cool.
And I know some of you too that are not in the great state of Minnesota have wanted to reach out. Just go to the website wearenutsmn.com and they can ship it anywhere. It's really great stuff. And this is going to be such a cool.
You need nuts? We can get you nuts.
We got you nuts right here. It's We Are Nuts and wearenutsmn.com. And please let them know when you place your order that you heard about them here on the Weekly Scramble podcast. We will be. Michael, you want to stick with the NBA?
I have another NBA story that I really need you to break. You're my sports guy. Obviously, everybody knows you're the sports guy on this show.
Okay.
So it turns out there was a player in the draft who didn't want to be drafted by certain teams.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking?
Ace Bailey.
Ace
of
Bailey,
Rutgers.
that's his name, right?
How about this quick aside?
Yeah.
Rutgers basketball had 2 of the top 5 draft picks in this. They were both freshmen.
Sure.
Had 2 of the top 5 draft picks in the NBA draft, and they did not make the NCAA tournament.
That's amazing.
Think
of that. 2 of the best players.
That's almost impossible to accomplish.
So tell me about this. This kid says, I don't want to play for certain teams.
Sure. So this tends to happen. First of all, you can say things like that privately, or your agent can say, hey,
like, don't draft him. He doesn't want to play for you.
They would probably prefer. And again, they don't really have, the problem is they don't really have a choice.
Sure.
Because the team retains that player's rights regardless of circumstance, right?
Okay.
So that's just kind of, you saw it in the NFL a few years ago with Eli Manning. He didn't want to go to the Chargers, and they had the number 1 overall pick, and they ended up drafting him anyway. He said, I'm telling you, I'm not going to play for you guys. And then they ended up trading him to the Giants, and the Chargers got a haul for him, and they still ended up getting a borderline Hall of Fame quarterback anyway. My point being, you can say that because the same thing happened with the Timberwolves and Steph Curry years ago, where Steph Curry's dad said, don't draft him. He doesn't want to play for you guys.
Yeah.
And they listened to him.
Sure.
And they didn't pick him, which was one of the biggest mistakes in the history of the franchise.
Is it? I mean,
Steph Curry is the greatest shooter in the sports history.
I get that. But if he was disgruntled here at Minnesota, would he still have become?
Well,
I bet you he would have, right?
He was pretty unproven. I mean, most people didn't know if his game was going to translate to the professional level.
Sure. Okay.
It ultimately obviously did. He became one of the best shooters in the history of the league. But back then the Timberwolves were a mess. I mean, they were a dysfunctional mess.
Okay, so
anyway,
I play this out. So Ace says, I don't want to play for Philadelphia.
So here's how it worked. So when the season was over with, all of these potential draft picks go through the system, and they find out, okay, where's my stock? Is it worth coming or worth leaving and giving up my rights as an amateur, or can I return to college or whatever? And they kind of find out where they're, because there's only 2 rounds in the NBA draft.
Yep.
And then at that point, once teams become interested, they can say, hey, what we're interested in taking, we'd like you to come in for a workout. And players oftentimes do accept that invitation. Sometimes they don't, though. Sometimes they say, nope, I'm not interested.
You've seen me play for years
and
at Rutgers.
That happens a lot, right? That can be,
so we're not mad at him for that.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
But that also tells the team, like, okay, I don't know if he's that interested, because you don't really necessarily want a disgruntled player on your roster.
No, you do not.
Because that just makes for an unhappy situation for everybody involved. But he specifically told franchises, do not take me. And I think that always works against the player, because it's bad optics.
Yeah, you sound like a real prick, right?
Exactly.
Especially letting it be known to the world.
In a league of prima donnas, which is what the NBA kind of is.
So he said, I don't want to play for a couple of teams. But finally, the team he did want to play took him, probably.
No. He ended up going to Utah.
This asshole, I'm going to call him an asshole. This stupid prick wasted, I think it was 13 or 14 million bucks.
I was just going to go there. Yeah, he lost a lot of money.
14 million bucks. More than people make in 7 lifetimes, 10 lifetimes,
right.
13 lifetimes. And his ass is still going to have to fly out to Utah, play for the frickin' Jazz.
Right.
What a doofus. What a complete and utter doofus. The only thing nice is that the Jazz should use him till he's just wrung out. And when he says, my knee's hurt, I don't think I can play, they can say, get up. Go play.
Well, and that's the thing. If you don't perform, it's one thing to get drafted, right?
Sure.
But in the NBA, it's about making that second contract and that third contract.
So is he so confident that his next contract will be huge, he was willing to give up the difference between a 3rd round pick and a 5th round pick? That's the difference, right? He was going to go to
3rd overall.
Third overall pick, right? Yeah, I'm sorry, 3rd overall, because the Philadelphia 76ers said, we're not going to take you on the 3rd because you don't want to play for us.
Well, and that's the part, I guess, that gets kind of lost in a lot of this, is that, there's obviously always the bigger game to be played, but all of it is based upon earning power and financials. None of it is about, and I hate saying this, none of it's about winning.
Yeah.
It really isn't. It's about how much money can I make?
Well, I mean, although playing on a winning team makes you a lot more money.
For sure. Yep.
Right? So do you think if I were Utah and this kid is coming, this doofus is coming, I would 100% not say a damn word about him. I'd make him just play his, 3-year rookie contract? 4-year?
No, it's
4-year rookie contract? It's a long time.
Sure.
I wouldn't prop him up. I wouldn't do signings for him. I wouldn't do a bunch of jersey stuff. I'd let him just feel what it's like to be stuck at the place that you didn't want to go to, and they took you anyways.
And I got to tell you,
is that the wrong take? Is that
no,
a wrong
not at
take?
all, not at all, not at all. And there are a lot of people that are angry with him. And what's funny is because I was watching the draft with my kids, because again, that's the kind of nerds we are. Mm-hmm. But I remember when that happened because we went to a Jazz game back in March when we were driving out to the West Coast, and I remember thinking, man, if you're a star here, you pretty much own the town, because I mean they do now have hockey, but there's nothing else really going on there. It's almost the same scenario as the Buffalo Bills football team. They're the only you are the man there, right? And so. It's just kind of the same situation where, back when they had, Karl Malone and Stockton, they had some really good teams. They lost to the Bulls in the final.
And they loved it. Malone and Stockton loved it, Utah.
They absolutely did. And you could see why. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Mormons. I'd make him wear those Mormon underwear, those special garments. Say, sorry, dude, you have to wear these special garments under your jersey.
Right.
I think Mormons have special underwear. I'm not sure of that. If you're Mormon, either enlighten me or I apologize, because I'm unsure of what Mormons have to wear.
But yeah, it's funny, and I can't remember if I shared this with you last week or not, but one of the things that was, okay, yeah, for me was, you always there are always signs that you're getting old, right? Mm. And for me, it was both for the NBA draft and over the weekend with the NHL draft, because a lot of those kids are even younger than the NBA players that are getting drafted, because these kids are getting drafted in high school, right? Is you're seeing the parents now, notably the moms, and you're thinking, she's about 5 years younger than I am. That's his mom.
Yeah, you used to be mad when players were older than you. It would be, when players were younger.
That's why I was rooting for Brady to keep playing, because he was still the last professional athlete that was older than me.
And then all of a sudden, you're like, wait, now the moms are younger than you. You're getting old. So the average tenure of an NBA player is 4 to 5 years.
I would have guessed it was shorter than that.
So this kid might have given away, like if he goes in and just blows it up, right, in a negative way, and he plays for 4 years, his rookie deal, he lost $13 million because he didn't want to go to the 76ers.
And the other thing is too, and I mentioned this a few minutes ago, but I don't even know if you've seen this, but because of the new television contract that kicks in starting with the next NBA season, which is why Barkley's show is going to ESPN, because that contract ran up.
Okay.
So the new contract for television, so this kid that went number 1 overall, Cooper Flagg, with because he'll sign a max deal if he plays well, which he's projected to do. He's projected to be the next LeBron James, right? Great
player, yeah.
And so with his second contract, he'll get a max deal. With his third contract, there were some people speculating that contract will be worth $100 million annually.
Holy buckets.
Meaning he's going to make $100 million every year he plays
basketball.
So
tell me about this Ace Bailey. Is he the kind of kid who will get a max deal in 4 years?
I mean, I can't say I know a ton about his game. I know that he's projected to play well, but I have no idea.
I have just talked myself out of this. Right?
I went full circle.
Let me because I didn't understand. So, like I said, we're not always consistent, right?
Right.
But we're sincere. And I was sincerely pissed that this kid was so stupid to give up $13 million.
Right.
But I forgot that Naz Reid just signed for $25 million a year.
Yeah.
Naz Reid looks like he's 50 years old.
Right.
He looks beat up.
But he's Naz Reid.
But he's not a great player.
Yeah.
But if this kid's a more skilled player than that, and he gets through these first 4 years, hypothetically, in a spot that he would have liked to play.
He'll be making 50-some million bucks.
He could be making 50. So that $13 million that he lost. But at the same time, this might be the best thing that ever happened to him, because in Utah, you probably don't have the same club life that you'd have someplace else. I don't know. This kid could be a great kid. I don't know anything about him.
Right.
But there's probably less distractions in the middle of Utah, right? on the other side of the mountains. You just let him chill out there. He freezes to death a little bit in the winter.
Can't get a lot of trouble in Salt Lake City.
You hypothetically can't, right? You can't even carry a drink around at some bars. You got to have someone move it for you. I don't know. Well, God bless him. I hope he wins. I hope this was just a blip on his moron radar screen.
Yep.
They showed his manager, and his manager looks like his buddy. Looks like a 30-year-old dude that just looks like a buddy of his.
And who may or may not steal from him at some point.
May or may not steal from him. May or may not be the best manager in the world.
Right.
But I don't know if he has a full managing pedigree or if he's just a dude.
Yeah.
He looked like just a dude.
Right.
His headshot was in his Cadillac. I'm like, well, that's not good.
Right. Let's mention our friends at Masters Maples and mastersmaples.com. Here's what's really cool. If you go to their website and sign up for their monthly newsletter, you get it just like I did, delivered straight to my inbox. And this is really cool. So if you haven't tried it yet, the Masters Maples Bourbon Barrel Aged Maple Syrup. It's so good. And if you're looking for a maple syrup, a little less traditional, but just as delicious, their Bourbon Barrel Aged Maple Syrup may be the perfect choice for you. They partner with our good friends at Harmony Spirits, and they bring you the best maple syrup in the state. The Bourbon Barrel Aged Maple Syrup is still pure maple syrup, but it's aged in bourbon barrels to impart a sweet, oaky bourbon flavor. And I gave some savory seasoning to a neighbor of mine. Mm-hmm. His son plays baseball with my youngest son. He made ribs over the weekend with that stuff. Oh, my Lanta.
The neighbor did.
The neighbor did.
Not the kid.
There wasn't any for me.
Okay.
But yeah.
Did he send you pictures of like, oh, look at how delicious these are?
I said, yeah, what time should I come over?
Oh, sorry, man.
You can't. I mean, do you want pictures of my feet next, Colin? What are you doing over here? But he said they were fantastic. So I got to try that this weekend. Maybe I'll do that over the 4th of July. But the savory and sweet rubs are also fantastic. But go online to mastersmaples.com and place your order. They've been taking care of GLers and Weekly Scramble listeners all over the great US of A, and we appreciate your support with Masters Maples and mastersmaples.com, the Weekly Scramble. This might be a record.
What's that?
As much NBA talk as we've ever had on this show.
I looked up.
Here's what I say.
Yeah.
I love when you become fascinated with a topic.
Sure.
Because you go such on it and you dig in.
Well, you have to. I do have a computer in front of me. This is not knowledge that I had in my head.
Right.
But I looked up Ace Bailey's representation, right?
Okay.
It includes both an agent and a manager. So he's got two people,
sure.
right?
Okay, sure.
And his agent, is Andrew Whitlieb of GSE Worldwide. Wears a suit, looks like an accountant, right? And then we have the manager, Omar Cooper, who looks like a cool guy, like the guy you want to go out with, right?
Does this look like a guy that he went to high school with?
Older, like a uncle of a guy he went to high school with.
Okay.
And Cooper isn't a certified agent with the NBPA, and he has been reportedly active in trying to steer Bailey to other teams, even suggesting to at least one team that Bailey would not report if drafted by that team. So he's the guy going out to the team. So Andrew, the good old agent's like, Ace, will you tell Omar to shut up?
Right.
Like, don't do that.
But here's the other thing that I find fascinating now, because relationships in that business are crucial.
Yeah.
So if you think you're going to get more clients based upon how you decided to dictate the terms of this particular client, well, you're screwed. You are, because the thing is, what other what future players? Well, he just screwed up his chances of getting more. I don't want to work with that guy.
Yeah.
Like what a moron.
Well,
okay,
life is all about perspective. Reverse.
Oh.
Right. And Ace Bailey had one perspective, and he's like, I don't want to play in any place. And he's going to,
right?
Because he's and I bet you anything he tries, because he's a great player and he's competitive, right?
Sure.
But when I think of perspective and you're feeling down, I want to say this, right? I have a good friend who has sex 2 or 3 times a day, Reverse.
Oh, my.
He gets to exercise a couple times a day, even reads a couple of books a week.
Wow.
Yet every day he complains about how much he hates prison. That's perspective. That's perspective. Same thing with Ace Bailey, his perspective. Reverse.
That's an interesting way to look at
it,
Michael. Yes.
Right? Did you have anything else, or should I tell you you are the best?
You can do that. Thank you,
You know
Michael.
what, Reavers? You are the best.
Thank you, sir. Please do us a favor, as Mike mentioned at the beginning of the show, rate and review the podcast wherever you happen to be listening. It truly does help us out as well, and we appreciate each and every single one of you. His name is Mike Fredoloni. My name is Chris Reavers. Thank you so very much for listening to the Weekly Scramble podcast. We'll talk to you again next time, and until then, cheers. Awesome.